So I thought I'd share a little bit about this pond that recently constructed. So it was dug almost 2 years ago as a big pit, and we're like, it'll just fill with water because there's plenty of water down there, and so we'll just dig a pit and it'll fill with water. And it most certainly did not do that. It was just a big dry pit. So then it got filled with wood chips, and we're like, all right, it'll be a wine cap spawn generating pit full of wood chips and wine cap spawn. And the wine cap really seems to thrive at the interface between soil and wood chip, soil and woody debris, soil and leaves. So it didn't really do very well in the core of the pit. It did all right around the perimeter, but it didn't really do what we wanted it to do, which was generate a large amount of wine cap spawn that we could then distribute elsewhere. So then it got dug out, and then we buried our trees for the winter to heal them in. And then we dug those out for shipping, and they're all over the place now, which is lovely. And so we had a bunch of this old greenhouse plastic that we got for free from a friend's farm who was reskinning their greenhouse. And, it had some holes in some places, but there was enough that didn't have holes. Ooh, that's a nice old gust of wind. I'll let that pass for the audio. So we got free greenhouse plastic from a friend who was redoing their greenhouse, and it's 2 layers that had some holes as a sort of pre-liner to make sure there are no sharp bits that can puncture through the 2 layers that didn't have any holes, and so that forms the liner for this pond. And so we've got a little inlet here. It's kind of hard to see the contours on the camera, but it comes in through here. And so zooming out a little bit, just gonna jump around, you can maybe see how the contours of the beds here sort of channel the water into that little inlet. And so anytime we get a nice pulse rain, it'll come in here and fill up the pond, which is exactly what it did last night. We had a nice rain. And then the overflow is kind of over here, and it sort of sinks back underneath the pond, helping to retain moisture. And then we have this berm set up here that's going to be planted with a bunch of water-loving plants as the water makes its way back down into the Woonasquatucket River watershed. And so a few things in this pond. Duckweed that I put in. Duckweed's great. It's a excellent waterfowl food, of course. Also chickens love it. And humans can eat it too, as long as it's clean. You definitely want to cook it because things can grow in it, algae and things. But high protein, nutrient rich food source. And it also is really good at keeping harmful algae from growing in excess in the pond because it covers the surface and really sucks up that runoff nutrient and helps keep the pond clean. We've got some irises and ferns growing. I think it's the Iris prismatica. And hopefully you can see lots of little tadpoles swimming around. We transplanted them from a little swampy area not too far away. And so there's a little bit of like a clump of sod and soil at the bottom to become mud for them to spend their winters in and hide. There's a little bit of water milfoil. I don't know if that's visible on camera, but that's a good underwater filtering plant. And then there are some little snails and clams, or I guess mussels, freshwater mussels, that were also transplanted in here from just down that way. And so, we'll see how this develops, but it's pretty exciting. It seems to be holding water really well. The tadpoles are happy, the plants are happy, so let's see what becomes of it. All right.